Hello, and thank you for joining us. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our program, Gig CX Best Practices. I'm Michael DeSalles, Principal Analyst with Frost & Sullivan, and I'll be your moderator as well as to provide some insights on this topic. Joining me today is Chris Carrington, CEO and Managing Partner at Omni Interactions.
In your engagement with your customers and setting up customer experience teams, I think it'd be really interesting for the audience to hear from you what you consider some of the best practices for Gig CX and for gig workers.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I think that's really important to have a successful program and to be able to execute it properly, to have a set of best practices I'm happy to share. First and foremost, though, I want to mention that it's really important for anyone using the gig model to understand there is a very nuanced difference between an independent contractor or 1099 and a full-time employee. That difference is established by the Department of Labor and the IRS, and they have a test set out called the 6-part evaluation test called economic reality test. And this is a test that determines by government standards whether you can even be an independent contractor or whether you should be defaulted to as an employee. So that's my first just overarching advice. But when it comes to best practices, we've been doing remote work for the last 17 years, and we've seen some things that make it really successful. The first one is to truly be virtual, to truly be remote with the gig model. And what I mean by that is many people have tried to do the gig model or remote by doing a hiring locally around the center, training the center, allowing a person to get good, and then sending them home. You're going to break the model right there if you do that, because you're not going to access the best talent from across the United States. No one has centers in every single city across the United States. So not using a hub and spoke, but truly a nationwide platform of sourcing and onboarding people. So that's best practice number one. Number two is providing the true flexibility to the gig worker. These are high talented individuals who have decided they don't want to work 40 hours a week. They're looking to work an average of 20 to 30 hours a week. And they need flexibility for a number of life reasons. Maybe they're taking care of an elderly parent. Maybe they have a disability that they need to get to the doctor every couple of days. Maybe they have some small children. But what they do bring is when they're able to work, they provide high quality experience, brand experience to the customers they're serving, because it's this incredible talent. But really providing the flexibility to pick their own hours. If you enforce on them that they've got to work the hours you dictate, it's not going to work. And there's plenty of technologies that enable you to ensure interval compliance, that people are showing up when they're supposed to, but they pick the hours. So that's best practice number two. Number three is just because they're not your employee and they're an independent contractor doesn't mean that you can't treat them like a teammate. They have to be part of the team. These are, people, average age is about 38 years old. They have some college education or a full 4-year degree. They've probably had 15 years of work experience and life-based experience. They want to be treated like someone who gets it and be a part of the team. So you need to involve them in all the activities you would involve an employee around building culture, so they truly understand the brand they're representing. You got to involve them in contests. You got to involve them in what we call knowledge bars, inviting them to learn more about your company. You got to involve them in virtual happy hours. And occasionally, a really best practice when you have thousands of people like we do at Omni, we have picnics in certain cities where people can come and actually participate in person. So there's a variety of things you can do to truly create an engaged gig worker. Last but not least, really important in the best practice is gig workers are looking for digital learning and certification. Look, a gig worker may not be with you for 10 years. The reality is the average contact center worker in the industry today may only be with you 15 to 18 months. And these gig workers are probably likely to do that or a little bit more. But what they're really looking for is an opportunity to learn, to grow their career, to serve you in the best way they can possibly do that. And they do that by getting not only training in your brand and your products and services, but other types of skill sets like soft skills, how to deal with conflict, how to inspire customers, how to upsell and cross-sell. Those are really essential trainings and certifications that you can offer gig workers so that they'll stick around for a long time. Those are just some of the best practices, Michael, we've seen work really effectively over the last 17 years.
Thank you, Chris, for all of your insights on Gig CX best practices. I learned a lot of new things. And let me shout out and thank you, our listening audience, for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed the content of today's webinar. And if you'd like to learn more about Omni Interactions, you can find them on the web at www.omniinteractions.com.